For 800 years have I trained Jedi. My own counsel I will keep who is to be trained. These indignant words spoken to Luke from Yoda in Empire Strikes Back was the first indication of not only Yoda's age, but for exactly how long he has been a master and been training Jedi throughout the ages. While Yoda may have been a master, he wasn't always the Grandmaster of the Jedi Order. As the highest attainable position possible in the Jedi Order, the Grandmaster was a rank held by very few over the years, with Yoda being the last Grandmaster before Luke, the one that would see the near total destruction of the Jedi. We can't help but wonder who he succeeded way back in the past. Well, sit down with us today, curious acolytes of the galaxy, as we tell you the story of Master Fay Kovan, the Grand Master before Yoda. Before we begin today's tale, however, according to our analytics, a lot of you guys that watch the channel haven't actually subscribed yet. So if you've been enjoying the content and would like to see more from Star Wars, force crush that subscribe button. Our story begins during the war between the Army of Light and the Brotherhood of Darkness, right around the era that Darth Bane was alive. Master Fay Kovan was a pink-skinned Jeanette, a rodent-like species who mostly stayed at the temple during the long grueling Battle of Ruusan. During this time, the war between the Jedi and the Sith all came down to a messy skirmish on this planet, with nearly all of the Jedi and Sith forces being focused on this one point on the battlefield. Both the Jedi and the Sith were fighting it tooth and nail, as this was going to be the deciding confrontation of the war. The Sith fleet had blockaded Ruusan, keeping any Jedi resources at bay. However, the Jedi fleet were waiting just in front of it, also keeping any Sith resources away as well. On the surface, barely either side of the conflict were able to get by with whatever spare dropships of supplies and reinforcements they were able to get, as getting past the fleets hovering the planets was exceptionally difficult. Morale was very low, and the conflict was ultimately a stalemate. The wider Jedi Order at the time was hardly in support of General Hoth's Army of Light, as they did not want to enter the war in the first place, but were forced to once Hoth decided on his own accord. Many Jedi, though, were growing tired of the conflict. Hardly any of the other Jedi Knights or Masters were wanting to join the army, and as such, it was freshly trained Padawans that were essentially being systematically bred and shipped off to the front lines as the Jedi's only real support. However, the Jedi's savior would arrive in unlikely fashion. Luckily, the stalemate was ended by the machinations of Darth Bane, who delivered fake orders to the Sith fleet to break off the blockade and engage the Jedi fleet. This allowed an opening for the Jedi to send several dropships of supplies to the troops, which led to Lord Khan becoming desperate enough to use the ritual which Darth Bane had given to him, the Thought Bomb. After the Thought Bomb was detonated, it left Ruusan a barren wasteland, and the Jedi that survived returned tired and joyful that the Sith had finally been defeated, or so they thought. This, of course, is where the Sith rule of two was implemented and given birth. On the Jedi side of things, Senator Valorum and the Galactic Senate had unanimously agreed upon a bill known as the Ruusan Reformation. This bill dictated the permanent disbandment of the Army of Light, which brought the Jedi back to their roots as peacekeepers rather than purebred soldiers. It was shortly after these events that Fay Kovan was voted the new Grand Master of the Jedi Order, with a new vision set in place as fully formed peacekeepers, again, not battle-mongerers. Fay Kovan's first act as Grand Master, and debatably her most important and impactful, was to reorganize the Jedi Order following the Ruusan Reformation. Many of the Padawans of this era simply were bred for battle, and as such lacked significantly important understanding of what it meant to be a true Jedi Knight. Fay Kovan would be the one who would reinstate the Jedi Trials, a series of tests and challenges that every Padawan would have to complete in order to progress to the rank of Jedi Knight. In fact, the book, The Jedi Path, was mostly written by Grandmaster Fay Kovan, and I highly recommend anyone who loves Star Wars to check it out, as there is a lot of information regarding the inner workings of the Jedi Temple as well as the Order as a whole. In her guidebook, Kovan typically began each section detailing regulations set in place or certain ceremonies to be observed. With the instance of several fellow Jedi Masters, Kovan's dream came to fruition, and the Jedi Path became a facet in the Order's traditional readings. It is clear that Fay Kovan was very influential in the Jedi Order, ushering in more of an era of peace than anything else. An era where the Jedi were brought back to what they were meant to be, the peacekeepers of the galaxy, and essentially, Fay Kovan was responsible for course-correcting the Jedi Order as a whole. It is very unclear exactly when Fay Kovan died, died, or when she met her successor, Master Yoda, but what we do know is that she had to have died sometime after 896 BBY. As in the Jedi Path book, Yoda mentions remembering her during his time as an infant. This is a very fun thing to think about, especially in regards to Master Yoda. Many have speculated exactly what his time was like as a Padawan as well as a knight, with some theories even pointing to him and Minch being the same person, which is a topic we will most likely explore on another day. Although Yoda succeeded her as Jedi Grandmaster, it is important to note that Master Fay Kovan was in fact not Yoda's master. According to legends, Yoda was trained by a four-limbed serpentite species known as a Hysalarian, who went by the name of Nakata del Gormo. Yoda was brought into the Order after Yoda and a human companion crash-landed their starship on a swampy world. They were found by the Serpent Jedi, who wielded a staff with a kyber crystal on top. He informed Yoda and his human companion that they were force sensitive and would proceed to train them for an undescribed amount of time before they were able to send a distress beacon. Soon after, a Republic ship was able to retrieve the two, and Yoda went off to continue his Jedi training on the temple on Coruscant. Who his master was after this is unknown, and as to whether or not the titular swamp planet was Dagobah is also unknown but is speculated. However, here is something interesting to mention. The Hysalarian species were created by Chuck Hamilton, a 23-year-old Star Wars fan, though the design of an alien competition, which was run by Star Wars Galaxy magazine in 1995. The magazine called for readers to conjure up entirely new alien species based on what they had been shown in the original trilogy of Star Wars films. Hamilton's design was later printed in the honorable mentions section in the magazine. Holocron continuity database keeper Leyland Chi has stated that the published design of an alien material is considered canon unless contradicted by another source. Hamilton's original entry stated that the Hysalarian species were native to Dagobah and that Nakata del Gormo had trained Yoda there. However, this canon was later contradicted by Leyland Chi when she stated that Yoda going to Dagobah in Revenge of the Sith was his first time being there. However, this too was contradicted by the Clone Wars Season 6 in an episode which saw Yoda go to Dagobah in his journeys to find the Force Priestesses. So like the circumstances surrounding the Minch Yoda theory, it is anyone's guess what the canon explanation is, but for now it remains legends. Anyway, what I do find interesting is that if we're going to go based off of this in legends, Yoda became an initiate well into his young adulthood, meaning he wasn't raised at the Jedi Temple like Grogu. With his talent in the Force, it is easy to see how he would have likely excelled through his classes, like a young Anakin Skywalker would later do, and soon make him voted the Grandmaster, springing off of the foundation laid by the former Grandmaster of Fay Kovan. Unfortunately, there's not a ton of information about Fay Kovan, such as what lightsaber style she used, or any notable Force feats. It appears as if though, in this era of Star Wars, this is not what the Jedi Order was looking for, as they wanted more of a peacekeeper rather than a warrior, with Yoda sort of being the perfect mixture of the two of them, which is likely why he was elected after Fay Kovan, as although at the time the Order needed a softer hand, Yoda became the perfect machination of the previous warrior Jedi and the new era of peacekeepers. This is what most likely launched into the High Republic era, and as anyone reading the current novels and comics knows, the High Republic is the point in time when the Jedi actually had things right, and had really progressed in terms of what they believed. Donning white robes and golden circlets, the Jedi were truly the peacekeepers they were always meant to be. Thanks to the Jedi Path established by Fay Kovan and Master Yoda, this era lasted for nearly 1,000 years until it was suddenly ended closer towards the beginning of the Clone War. But anyway, my friends, what did you think of Master Fay Kovan? Again, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of information surrounding Fay Kovan as there's no massive galactic events that really involved her. All we know is she was presumably very kind-hearted and was established following the Battle of Ruusan and the Ruusan Reformation. But anyway, what did you think of Master Fay Kovan in this era overall in Star Wars? As always, my friends, may the Force be with you, and I will hopefully see you in the next video.